This is an Oculus Rift CV1. So why am I taking a look at a 5.5-year-old first generation VR headset in 2021? Well, if you're looking to dip your toes into VR driving games for the first time and you're on a budget, you can pick up a used CV1 for a very reasonable price. The original launch price was $600 or £550 in the UK. I picked up mine for just £75. That was just for the headset and a single motion sensor. No hand controllers, as they are not required for VR racing games, so that's fine for my usage here. So the first positive is a very attractive price point. Secondly, the moderate system requirements to get the CV1 up and running. Remember, this first generation headset was designed to run on PCs in 2016. And you do need to take into account that VR driving games really do push PCs hard, and to maintain stutter-free motion and quality graphic settings requires a decent gaming PC. So the CV1 could be better suited for your hardware. We'll talk about this more later. And thirdly, the build quality of the CV1 is excellent, and mine is in still great condition after over half a decade. It's constructed from robust materials, it's lightweight, well balanced and very comfortable to wear. The head strap is easily adjustable, we get excellent built-in headphones and an IPD adjustment slider. Broadly speaking, top flight features you would expect from any modern VR headset. Let's move this on to the track and I will talk about my experiences using the Oculus Rift CV1 in a few driving games and how this headset compares to newer headsets and more. The first thing to know is the setup is straightforward. You plug in the cables, you download the Oculus software, run through a simple setup process and then you launch the driving game that has VR support, and it will appear through the goggles. The headset and the single tracking sensor is 100% all we need for this sit-down VR gaming experience. The head tracking remains perfect. As for game compatibility, there's no problem there either, and going forward the CV1 will be compatible with new titles, whether they are served through the Oculus Store or Steam. Another box ticked there. The CV1 specifications state 110 degrees field of view and 90 Hz refresh rates. That's still a baseline which still holds up perfectly well today, and the OLED display panels produce smooth motion, colour rich visuals. So everything so far is sounding pretty good, but indeed 5.5 years later and VR headsets have improved. There's no doubt about that. And that leads us nicely onto the subject of resolution, going right back to 2016 when the CV1 launched. If you brush away the initial excitement at that time, even at the beginning, resolution was commonly cited as something people wanted to be improved in future VR headsets. At 1080 by 1200 pixels per panel, that's a combined resolution of 2160 by 1200. We're still talking about a lot of pixels packed into those small screens sitting in front of your eyes. The issue is the screen door effect, which is seen as an ever-present grid across the entire picture. If you want to know what that looks like, just use a magnifying glass on your desktop monitor. The grid you can see is the space between each pixel. Among newer headsets like the Valve Index, Cosmos, Quest 2 and Rift S, display panel technology has been improved. More pixels, so high resolutions, pixels packed closer together and effectively eliminating or reducing the screen door effect to a point it's no longer talked about. So pretty much a thing of the past if you pick up a current gen VR headset. I'm not going to deny, between the Oculus Rift CV1, my Valve Index and my Oculus Quest 2, I most definitely enjoy the high resolution of those newer headsets. The sharper, more detailed image quality, no screen door, it does improve my VR experience. A clear difference, and VR is better for it, of course it is. But let's return to my statement at the beginning of the video. Price and system requirements. A second-hand Oculus Rift CV1 is amazing value for money and copes better with lower end PCs. And when it comes down to brass tacks, on the track I can see everything I need to see ahead of me clearly enough. Visually, the detail is generally good. The larger gauges on the car's virtual dashboard are readable, smaller labels and numbers are not. Trackside braking marker boards are clear and I have clear visibility into the distance. I can make out individual cars and the track ahead. The image is decently sharp and the 90Hz refresh rate provides the smooth motion you would expect. Overall, I'm perfectly happy with the CV1, it's doing a fine job. My first VR headset was the Htc Vive. It launched about the same time as the CV1, but had the advantage of shipping with the motion controllers on day one, hence that's the route I took at the time. The Htc Vive features the same resolution and also uses OLED panels. I no longer have the Htc Vive, but I can recall the screen on the Vive was a bit brighter than the CV1, but it did require an additional power adapter where the CV1 is entirely powered over USB. I assume that's the reason why. I also remember the lenses on the HTC Vive added a bit of blur to the image, which I didn't like much. The CV1 lenses don't suffer from that, the picture clarity is very good. Another thing I prefer with the CV1 over the HTC Vive is the comfort. Even with the deluxe audio strap, which is £100 extra with the HTC Vive, the CV1 is better balanced, remains less front heavy, and means it's more comfortable, especially over long sessions. So after all my testing with the CV1, I think it remains a really strong package even today. The value for money and the performance is truly excellent. And honestly, even with the fact I own newer and better headsets, the CV1 does so many things right, I would quite happily continue using it. I had a really good time running the CV1, so 5 years on, is it worth it? Of course, most definitely yes. In 2021, still a most excellent piece of hardware. You're looking to find a bargain, you want to get into VR racing games for the first time, I would say try out a CV1, I think you will not be disappointed. Before we end this one, what are the two games I've been demonstrating today, as I'm sure some of you will ask? They have been Assetto Corsa and Automobilista 2, and I specifically picked these two games as they are the most optimised, best looking driving games in VR right now. There are other fantastic racing games out there that will run in VR, but these are my top pick driving sims with VR support. I'd recommend these two if you are unsure what to get. I already told you, VR driving games are highly demanding on your gaming PC, so to avoid disappointment, game selection is vitally important, and not all the driving games out there with VR support run as well or look as shiny as these two. And we'll finish off this video on that tip. Thanks very much for watching, I hope you found this video useful. Please leave feedback in the comments, it's always good to hear your thoughts. I'll be back soon with something new. Until then, happy simming and bye bye.